Welcome to ZOOMERTIMES TV. And here's your host, Anita Finley.
Well, welcome to our ZOOMERTIMES TV presentation. We have something that I think everybody's just dying to hear about cruises. And we have Bob Levinstein, who is the founder of the CruiseCompete. And it's interesting because Bob has not control, but he knows about hundreds of cruises. And there's so many questions we have for him. So welcome to our show, Bob.
Thanks so very much.
Right. And you know, everyone wants to go on cruises. It's down here, especially in South Florida, it's very popular. But now everyone is, of course, not going. So why don't you give us an update on what's going on in the cruise world?
Well, the cruise business is actually coming back very strong. It's taking some time to get the ships back into operation. In fact, some of the cruise line executives have said to take a ship that's been out of circulation and get it back on the seas is the same amount of effort as launching a new ship for the first time. So it's a tremendous amount of effort. But we're seeing that every week, more and more ships are coming back into service. The capacities they're allowing on board are increasing. And the measures that they've taken to keep people safe have been extremely, extremely successful.
Well, let me just though ask you about this. So it seemed like it was the United States that said you can't go on cruises, but now is it all open? Does it depend on the cruise lines, or what are the other stopgaps?
Well, basically the court said that the CDC does not have the authority to tell cruise lines what they can and can't do as far as that goes. But that said, the cruise lines are largely working hand in hand with the CDC. They've been following CDC recommendations, and they have been able to add a lot of things to the safety margins on the ships. I think probably some of the most important things are there's great screening. So before you even get on that ship, you know that everybody on that ship has had a negative COVID test. The crews are tested weekly on most lines. And again, when I tell you these things, I'm speaking in generalities, what's true for most lines. We have more than 30 cruise lines on our website that we help people book cruises on. So, you know, I can't guarantee that absolutely everything, but this is basically what you're seeing. There's also some variation depending on geography. But mostly what we're seeing is everybody gets tested before they get on board. Kids who are under 12 who can't get vaccinated, the lines are having them get tested twice. So they get tested, a test 3 days before, a PCR test, and then at the dock a rapid test to make sure that COVID does not get on at the beginning of that cruise. So you're in an environment where everybody's been screened. You also know that substantially everybody who's 12 and older has been vaccinated. The requirements are quite strict. There are a couple minor exceptions for medical. Your doctor says you can't get vaccinated, but we're talking about fractions of a percent. This is an environment where you can be guaranteed that everybody you meet on the ship who's over 12 or older has already been vaccinated. So that's huge in terms of safety.
Okay, so hearing that, do people wear masks on the ship?
There are some, and again, this is also something that keeps changing, and it's different on different lines. But outdoors, nobody's wearing a mask. I think there might be some where kids under 12 may have to, but I think in general, outdoors, no masking. Indoors, if you are at the restaurant, once you get to your table, you're not wearing a mask. And then it just depends on the line. The cruise lines that are completely vaccinated, that aren't letting kids under 12 on, and there's a number of voyages like that. It's not even by line. In some places, it's by voyage. In fact, there's even a Disney cruise voyage where nobody under 18 is allowed. So it's there's some interesting things going on out there. But for the most part, there is some masking in some venues. When they have mixed venues where they're both vaccinated and unvaccinated people, there tends to be masking. But even on ships that have that, they will have some venues that are vax only. So in the vax only venues, nobody's wearing a mask. What I've been hearing from people coming back is it's not particularly onerous. It's it's not all that different than what you encounter in your daily life, where there are some places you got to put a mask on and most places you don't.
Okay, well, this is Bob Levinstein, and he is the CEO of CruiseCompete. And why don't we talk about what actually does your company do?
Sure. CruiseCompete is a cruise marketplace. The idea is we are trying to help consumers get the best deal on a cruise because prices vary. It depends on who you book with. You might get a different rate, or you might get more onboard credit with the same price. It's possible you get a better cabin, different amenities. So the way it works is you come to our site. We have all kinds of information and things available to help you figure out what cruise you want to take. And then from there, you create what we call a quote request. So basically, you're just saying, hey, I want to go on this cruise on this date, this ages of passengers, things like that. Takes about a minute to fill out the request. And then as soon as you submit that request, we have more than 500 different travel agencies who can see that request, and they're going to respond to you with their best offers. Generally, you'll get 3 to 7 responses for any request. You can compare the offers, you can read about the agencies, the comments, the ratings. But the important thing here is also that you remain anonymous. The agencies are only sending you information into your account on CruiseCompete. You can read it all there. It's up to you to decide when and how to contact an agent via phone or via email for more information or to book your cruise.
Are you ultimately the last stop in the sense that, let's say they go on a cruise that you help book them? I mean, you've introduced them. Can they come back to you if there's a problem?
They are certainly welcome to, but they tend not to. If there's a problem once you're on the cruise, it's your agent who's really going to be the key. And I think the value of travel agents has really been seen during this pandemic. Yes, there are things that need to be rescheduled. There are refunds that usually come through. I mean, the cruise line's been very good about it. Haven't had too many issues there. But you never know. You got a hotel night or something like that. It's really important to have a travel agent there to advocate for you and to help you along.
And so, Bob,
but some other things about. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you keep going.
Some other things going on about the ship. People are worried about. Okay, yes, we're keeping the virus off the ship with the first stop. But what about when we get to the ports? As we get
That's
further
exactly
along?
what I was going to ask you. Right.
Okay, well, we're prepared. The interesting thing about it is, first of all, most short excursions are during the daytime, outdoors in the sunshine, which means it's really very, very, very difficult. It's very rare that anyone gets COVID in that situation. And the main reasons are sunlight, as we know, destroys really all viruses, the UV light. So that's number one. And then number two, COVID really is a virus of confined spaces. Somebody's got to breathe out in a room. That air has to be not circulated. It's going to take time for that virus to build up to a certain level, a certain density, I guess, saturation. And then you have to, as an uninfected person, have to breathe that in. And even with the Delta variant, I'm seeing statistics that tell me estimates that it's thought to require at least 15 to 30 minutes of breathing in that infected air for a vaccinated person to be infected, even with Delta. Okay, and it would be a lot more with the other strains. So it's really pretty unlikely that people are going to pick up the virus because, again, we're talking about vaccinated people. But here's the other thing that's very interesting. It really, on average, it takes 3 to 4 days to become contagious, even after you contract the virus. Okay, so if you are, if you're vaccinated, the amount of time you have to spread it, that window is very short. It's actually much shorter than it would be if you were unvaccinated, according, again, to the latest science that's out there. So you get on a cruise on day one. Even if your first port stop is day 2, it's the end of day 2 that someone is come back on board with the virus. You've got another 3 or 4 days before they can even start to spread it. And the cruise is basically over. If you're at a port stop on day 3, day 4, there's really very, very little chance. Is it possible? Sure. It's just very, very unlikely. the other thing is, going back to this idea of, and I think this is really one of the most important things. If you think about COVID as a disease where it's got to build up somewhere, it's all about airflow, right? And what the cruise lines have done is they have highly upgraded their ventilation systems. So first of all, one thing that I didn't know, I learned recently, is your normal heating and cooling system in your house or in a restaurant or anywhere you go is going to recycle the air. So in other words, air that's breathed goes in, is kept warm and comes back. Okay. And the reason is, look, if it's cold outside and it's, and you want it warm inside, you don't want to have that heater constantly heating up, hot air, or if it's hot inside, the air conditioner constantly cooling hot air. I think I got that right. I might not have. Anyway, but what the cruise lines have done is they've gotten rid of all the recycling of air. So all of the air coming in is 100% recycled, fresh ocean air. So it's all going out. And, some of the examples on this, Royal Caribbean, who's really been great about being transparent and kicking out their numbers and what's going on. In the general spaces, the common spaces, that air is getting completely recycled as often as every 5 minutes. Okay. And in the cabins, every 4 minutes. In the cabins, as often as every 5 minutes. The cabins are also now, the system is also now designed, so no two cabins share the same air. So that's always going outside, inside. So, if somebody's sick in the room next to you, that's not getting into your room. But in addition to that, in addition to sweeping the stuff in and out, they also have some systems. There's one called Atmos that is let me make sure I get this right. It is a bipolar ionization technology. I don't know what that means, but it's supposed to get rid of 99.92% of viruses within 30 minutes. And then in addition to that, most of the lines are using what's called an H13 HEPA air filter. And that is the level of air cleaning that they actually in hospitals.
Well, it's wonderful to have you
So,
on the show.
you want to talk.
And we've actually run out of time. So maybe we can get you on again, but you're wonderful. This is what I was hoping for this, because nobody really knows where to go. And you're such an expert, Bob, and we're so glad. And if people want to contact you, they go to CruiseCompete.com.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, CruiseCompete.com. Yep. Thank you so much, Bob.
Yeah, we'll probably be posting some of this info. We'll be posting some of this info on our blog after, so they can get more details and references if they want.
Pleasure talking.
Thank you. You have a great day.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.